So for these reasons, I'm in favor of this development. It's about time we broke the good old boys network and we've got things moving here. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Kurt Potts.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Close to now. Okay. Lots of interesting comments here. I'm Kurt Pond, 925 Douglas Street. I am for development in this town, and it has to be done properly. A lot of the business people who've spoken tonight are friends of mine. I respect them deeply. Battersby, great friend of mine. Briefly, Fred, every Christmas. Maybe some of the other people get bread from this and that as well. I appreciate that. I love this town. The vibrancy, the word that everybody wants to use is people. That's all you people here. Just because they're going to build a mall, a very small mall, this town will not lose its vibrancy. Mr. Healy will be here still. Hopefully the gentleman sitting next to him will be here still. I will be here still. I will support my business downtown. I love it. And from the sounds of what everybody said here tonight, so will the rest of you. I don't think anybody downtown has anything to worry about. Where are you going? You're not going to go to the shop at the new mall. You're going to be shopping downtown. That's what I hear. Is that right? So don't be afraid. I know. I'm afraid to even talk. Mr. Churchill was right. It takes courage to get up here and say what you have to say, particularly when you're in a minority here tonight. Kurt. I'm sorry. I've never done this before, so anyways. So, I have a whole bunch of stuff written down here. $43 million in 2006 left town on the highway. 43 million, I'm sure it's quite a lot more than that now. Victoria, by the way, was there recently for 5 days, is not dead, as somebody once mentioned earlier this evening. It's downtown, it's thriving. I spent 5 days there walking the whole downtown. I don't know where this information comes from. So I did a lot of studies. I spent hours and hours studying. How did I go through my glasses? Yeah. I must also, I wanted to say, I congratulate the business community on its well-organized campaign to put forth its point of view. Really, I'm tired. I'd rather just be skiing. But it's an important issue to so many people, and it's also an important issue to be examined properly from both sides and fairly. I tried to do this. I've spent hours reading and listening reports and studies from the Retail Strategy 2006, which apparently is outdated. Economic impacts and analysis, studies on Walmart's impact on the economy, the efficient community plan. I'm not sure which one I was reading at times. What is the official version? 2015? I'm not sure. In fact, I had to chuckle when Dr. Bradley mentioned that Mountain View or Mountain maybe school kids at grade 6 would be able to understand it. I can't. It's very ambiguous, to say the least. You know, you can read it whichever way you want to. As some of you may know, I was responsible for putting together a 100-name petition in favor of Casely developing the highway mall. I was disappointed with certain news and social media comments. For example, Mr. Cooper over there from Review mentioned my name with 100 signatures from people who support the mall development. And he mentioned the second petition with 781 signatures of people who wanted council to do more research and solicit more input. What Alex failed to mention was I stopped collecting names on purpose at 100. I could have filled up reams and reams and reams of papers of people that aren't here. And that only took me approximately 2 hours, by the way. And these were names of people only from Revelstoke. Moreover, the 781 names collected by many businesses over many hours and days, with many of those names of people who don't even live in Revelstoke, I just wanted to make that clear. Alex never made an attempt to contact me in regards with the other side's point of view, even though he clearly knew where I stood. I was disappointed. Now, what I have discovered in my studies, interesting comments on page 55 of the Revelstoke Retail Strategy, I quote, "The lack of larger format retailers has not put new pressures on existing retailers, and somewhat complacent service attitude presently exists in the city." And that's still true, even though it was in 2006. So what does this mean? It means when you're okay. When you run a race and you're the only one in it, your chances are you're going to win without too much difficulty. Add a few more runners, and you'll need to train harder to still win that race. And that's what I'm employing the businesses to do downtown if this does happen. In study after study, most of which originally don't use small towns with unique characters like the ones the arguments use cities like this, and the reports I've read: Salt Lake City, Portland, New Orleans, Grand Rapids, San Francisco, Austin, Texas, Chicago, Kelowna, Vernon, Prince George, etc., etc. All have a common denominator. They are larger than Revelstoke, they have huge malls and strip malls, and something called urban sprawl, which we haven't talked about here, which is not likely to occur in Revelstoke. This is a small development.
Have you got much more that you want to go on to, Kurt? Do you have much more that you want to?
No, I'm just like that.
Okay. If I had a long list, I would stop it, but we are getting to the end of the list. I should remind people that we do have, if they want to speak, I'll take names still, or you can come up to the microphone. Sorry, Kurt.
Okay, I did have a few more small towns that have actually, they're not boarded up and they're not dying like people might think they are, but I will just use that because the whoever wants to talk to me about that. So, but finally, I'll just sum up. You can take people from two different points of view, put them in this room for 5 hours, discuss back and forth, and still they'll come out with that room with the same point of view. So probably this is not making much sense to one side or the other. So I say, let our council, which we voted in with a strong business agenda, do their jobs one way or the other, and if you don't like it, vote them out next election.
Thanks, Kurt. Oh, okay. No, just a couple. I only got two more speakers, Peter. And are we still doing a paper list in the corner? Is that somebody's going to say yes? I don't see anybody. The next two speakers are Leon Remus and José Zemini. How do you say that? Sorry. Leon. Oh, there you are. Sorry.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Leon Remus, relatively new to Revelstoke, living at 200 2nd Street East. Came here about 3.5 years ago following my wife's daughter, our son-in-law, and our grandchildren. Our primary reason for coming here was to be close to them, to watch them grow up in a small town, and the reason that they came was to experience small town life and affordability. Like Gunner, we have a cottage in Ontario. We drive there every summer. Prior to living here in Revelstoke, we lived in West Vancouver. West Vancouver, if you know, was a fine little town at one time, city now, and malls that most people go to rather than spend time downtown. It's different because they have the population to perhaps accommodate both. Driving by Revelstoke prior to living here, we never stopped in. I think that was probably a fault of the city, sort of persuading people to come in. I don't know whether or not having a mall on the perimeter is sort of going to make me want to stop by and visit downtown. As Gunnar said, I would probably just fill up whatever kind of needs I have and continue on. I think there's options in making the decisions. Perhaps it's only a lose-lose option that you choose, or maybe win-lose or a win-win. And I hear a lot of people thinking that there's still pro-development, but it has to be the right development, or maybe looking at this development a little bit more closely to see how it fits into our OCP and what we plan for the future. So my suggestion, my hope is that we look a little bit closely at all the information we've heard tonight and use that to make a wise decision. Perhaps not tonight, but in the next few days or weeks. What difference does that really make if it takes a little bit longer? So thank you for the opportunity, and I just pray that you listen to all the insights tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Samantha. Jose, and then Peter Bernanke.
Can everyone hear me? Thank you for the opportunity for more input. It's been really eye-opening hearing all sides of the debate. And I'm just going to read my letter so I don't forget anything. One of the big reasons I first moved to Revelstoke 25 years ago was because of Cheryl Fry, who worked at Home Hardware at the time. On my first visit to Revelstoke, we bought goods at Home Hardware and headed out of town to work on construction of the Admin Lodge. 3 weeks later, we went back to Home Hardware and Cheryl said, "Hi Dwayne, hi Jose." I was blown away because I had not introduced myself. I had not moved here yet, and in the last town I had lived in, that would never have happened, even though I worked and lived there for 3 years. I wanted to live in a town that was so friendly, and still is. I wanted to live in this beautiful town that was unique and different from any other town I had visited or lived in or traveled in across Canada. There are many towns where you have to be a local for 1,000 years before you can call yourself a local. Not in Revelstoke. The spirit of Revelstoke is unmatched anywhere, and it is because of the generations of people who have lived here and have contributed so much to the fabric of Revelstoke that people want to visit and live here. Ever since I've lived here, every initiative has been to draw people into Revelstoke. Lights, signage, visitor centers, Chamber of Commerce, OCP, retail strategy, ... So it seems contrary to the efforts of so many citizens over the years to want to add another barrier to people coming into Revelstoke. And I don't mean just downtown, but I mean all of Revelstoke and all the amazing neighborhoods we have. I feel that the colossal effort by Revelstoke citizens over the years is not being honored. I feel that a development that enhances Revelstoke, draws people into Revelstoke, is more appropriate than a shopping center that needs to have anchors of grocery, pharmacy, health and wellness, and public assembly to make it viable. And I think that citizens should have a voice in what is built out there, especially if this goes through, as this development proposal is a guideline only. The details have not been finalized. At least with a hotel, one can envision the outcome. This open-ended development will not necessarily provide the services that Revelstokians are looking for. There will be many what-ifs. What if Southside has to close? What if Cooper's wasn't there anymore? What if the developers want a farmer's market up on the highway? The car show? What if we lose a number of businesses, somebody's favorite longtime business? Telling business owners to get real, buck up, lower your prices, etc. is oversimplifying the issue. Please do not underestimate the last straw. The OCP is all about preserving the historic commercial district of Revelstoke, which serves many purposes: social interaction, culture, services, business retail, non-retail business, tourism, food, and accommodation. We are not defined by our retail. We are defined by our spirit, our friendliness, the magnificent beauty that surrounds us, the passion the residents have for living here and making this such a great community. Please do not amend the zoning. And one little extra note. I don't think we should be hating each other. We're wrong. In the reality that is our world in Paris, in Syria, I think that it's very important, but it's also kind of small potatoes. The end.
Thank you, Josie. Your timing is impeccable. Just like your cakes. Peter Bernanke.
Good up here, councilors.
Take the mic. Just like Johnny Cash, right up to the microphone.
There's one thing before I leave this town, probably, we gotta get a better system here, PA system. But I am for it.
It's in the budget, and it's coming with the.
Thank you. I'll even throw in some extra there. But thank you, and I'm for development, there's no doubt about it. We gotta grow. And asking the retail businesses downtown, do we want another business like that out there? Probably the answer is going to be no. They all said no. But is it going to hurt them? I'd probably say no. Because we're taking all the statistics, we're asking Minnesota, this guy, that guy is an expert, another guy is an expert.
Get to the microphone, Peter.
And that's not, but anyhow, in short, that's, I'm for development, and I want to ask the public, the whole city of Revelstoke, to back our councillors and mayor in their decision. And it's very important. They're going to represent us, and I want everybody in town to back them. Thank you.
We've come to the end of people. Absolutely. I was going, now I'm going to open it up the microphone to the public, so just state your name and do we need an address? Address. Don't say Earth.
It's getting crowded. Tom Kent, and I live across the zip line from City Hall when I'm here. Anybody hear the CBC Rewind show? I think it was yesterday about Stompin' Tom Connors. Anyway, he was interviewed in 2010. If you know the history of Stompin' Tom Connors, he vagabonded when he was young. He almost didn't survive. He became a success, we all know, died in 2013. In the interview, Sean Gameshi, or infamous, asked him, "You say you've seen every blade of grass in this country vagabonding across the country. What have you noticed is the biggest change in your life?" And he said, "All the towns I used to go to, they all used to be unique. Now, they all look the same. There's a Walmart, big box stores, and then a bunch of fast food joints." He said, "That's the biggest thing I noticed." So I simply say to you, when you make your decision, do you want to be like everybody else? Or do you want to preserve the reason it seems most people 20, 30, 5 years, 2 years ago moved here? Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Bill McFarland. I live at 901 Vernon Avenue. And thank you to your worship and councillors for making it possible for all of us to be a part of this process tonight. I actually had quite a few things to say, but most of them have already been said, so I just want to emphasize a few things. First of all, I want to emphasize the history of how this community got to where it is right now. And Mark, you were a part of that, I was a part of that, I served on council for 20 years. We worked to build that vision that said there was something unique about Revelstoke, and we wanted to do something that would make sure we proved that point, and we did it. And that, I think, has been proven tonight by the number of young people that have come up to the mic to speak, to say there were reasons why we came here, and that was because of the vision that we built that, yes, made this a tourist community, and with the possible and future development of the ski hill, yes, but it made it such a desirable community to live in, to the point now, if you travel anywhere and say you're from Revelstoke, people will say, "Oh, I know about Revelstoke, I've read about it." I'm not sure what the Chinese food has to do with that, but it's true. They know about the ski hill, they know about our downtown, they know about the attractiveness of this community. And I want to emphasize, we don't want to lose that. I want to also say, although I'm opposed to this development, like other people in here, I'm not opposed to development. I don't think anybody that's been up at this mic tonight said they're opposed to development. We all want it in some form or another, but it needs to be done in such a way that benefits the community, that continues to give us that attractiveness that attracts people here. So I think when you sort through everything, because there's a lot of information, and again, I think it's been really good. This is one of the few issues I've really, since I served on council, that I really got involved in and tried to read everything and stay on top of it. And there's lots of information. But I think once you sort through all of that, the basic question you have to ask yourself, are we going to abandon the vision that we've set for this community, which said, come to Revelstoke, come stay in Revelstoke. People have moved here once they've come and visited. Or do we abandon it for one that says, oh, visit us on the highway, but keep going? I don't think we want that.
I didn't realize you guys had 5 minutes, so I kept mine kind of short earlier.
We'll give you 3 now, George.
Pardon me?
We'll give you 3 now.
Okay. Anyways, I don't know what, when you came to Revelstoke or what age it's got to do with anything, but it seems to have. I've noticed tonight everybody's telling you how when they came here and how long they've been here. Well, I don't see too many faces here that were here when I came here. I came in '58. So I've been here quite a long time, and I've seen a lot of changes in Revelstoke, I can tell you that. I hear a lot of people here, they're scared about losing their business, or the downtown business is going to get hurt as a result of this mall or development. All I can say to these people is this: I hope you continue to shop downtown. If you all shop downtown, this guy won't last long anyways. So don't worry about it. So I don't see why everybody's so worried about this whole thing. Let the guy do his job. And if he doesn't do a good job, obviously he's not going to be here long. So I say to you that this has got nothing to do with the strip mall. As a matter of fact, I've seen almost every business in this town change hands at least once or twice or maybe even 3 times. And the grocery store is one of them. Like, how many times did the co-op move from one place to the other and tried and bought property and never made it work? It was because they weren't doing it right. Now, if you do it right and you continue to be fair and have and people will continue to shop in your store. I don't think, I have no reason to believe that anyone should have a difficulty because of the strip mall. And I would suggest that this should be taken in consideration to the people of Revelstoke who are now having to go, a lot of them go out of town continually, and I can tell you this because I know I see them there when I go out of town. So as a matter of fact, some of our prominent business people I have noticed shop out of town. And so whether or not it makes a difference, and I'm sure that everybody will be shopping out of town long after the strip mall being here as well. So people need to get out of town once in a while. It's a small town. So anyway, I just wanted to make a few corrections and a few statements that I had made earlier. So thank you very much.
Thanks, George. I feel I should make a confession that 3 days ago was my 38th anniversary when I moved to town. Just for the record, George, I don't know. 38. Sir, you have the floor. If you would mind introducing yourself and where you live.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is John Netzel. I live at 800 Mackenzie Avenue. And the one thing I haven't heard tonight, everybody's moved in. My family has actually owned a commercial building in downtown Revelstoke for the last 60 years. They paid a surtax through the 80s when the redevelopment went on, and the whole idea was to bring people into downtown. I remember city council lobbying the highways department to put an eastern access in to bring people into downtown. And now it seems you want to put something on the highway to keep people from coming downtown. Doesn't make any sense. I had some people from Mexico that I met last winter that happened to be in Revelstoke this summer, and I took them downtown, and the music and the restaurants, and I took them for a walk up Mackenzie Avenue, and they were quite charmed by it all. They thought it was a wonderful town. I don't understand what the strip mall is going to do to benefit the town in general, let alone the downtown core. Anyway, it said in this that it had to do with people that were affected by, well, it wasn't so long ago that half the downtown was papered up. Right? There was a lot of empty storefronts. Is that going to happen again? If you put 3 drugstores in, 3 grocery stores in, the last development didn't turn out to be the boom that we thought it was going to be for the downtown. Anyway, that's what I've got to say.
Thanks, John.
My name is Sasha Walsh. I live at 321 4th Street East. My name is Sasha Walsh. I live at 321 4th Street East. I've lived here for 10 years. And I'd first like to say I'm opposed to this development, but not opposed to development in this area. I'm more for a hotel conference center, just from listening to what people have been saying, which have been really good comments so far. I've been here 10 years, and when I moved here, I thought, wow, this is such a gold mine of a place. People are so kind, generous. It's a true small town. But what I also love about this town is that the root of this town is hardworking people. Like, you've got the railway, you've got the mill, the hydro came in. The root of this town, people came here and worked hard and raised their families here. I'm also raising a family here, and I do shop locally. We actually don't drive out of town much at all, though I will say, my friends are going to Costco, I go, hey, yeah, get me that at Costco, please. And you're not going to get a grocery store that's going to offer prices, or a pharmacy that's going to offer prices cheaper than Costco. People are always going to shop at Costco. I'm also raising kids, and with kids, they're going to be in activities, so you have to go out of town for activities. And a lot of people have kids that have to go out of town for activities. Sorry, I'm good. So they're going out of town, they're going to, take an opportunity to shop out of town. So shopping out of town is always going to happen. I guess I just want to feel that dare to be different. Like, let's stick to our plan. Dare to be different. Let's keep a community where people come and go, wow, there isn't a strip mall here. Wow, what a place. This is unique and different, you know? We're down to earth. I forget our slogan. But anyways, yeah, so I'm opposed, and I feel we can do it by the close to heaven. Thank you. Let's keep it that way.
Thank you.
Steve Bender, again, Selkirk Gardens. I noticed there are 2 councillors missing. Would they have to recuse themselves by being in conflict of interest just to come to this meeting?
They should not be participating in anything to do with this discussion. Yes.
Okay, so that's the ruling. There's one other thing I want to do. I want to challenge Peter Bernacki to throw in $5, and I'll throw in another $5, and if we get enough, we'll get a better PA system. Because I understand council has got some pretty ambitious goals in the next couple of years. The budget's going to be pretty tight.
I'll take the money.
All right. Okay. Are you with me, Peter? And just one quick other thing. Just before I came here, I checked the local papers, and I found an article on the Trek report. The headline in the papers reads, Revelstoke Retail Strategy Consultant criticizes city and developer for misrepresenting report. The Trek report, just to give you a quick, here's the first line of the story. Developer and city have not completed their due diligence. I urge everybody to take a quick look at the paper and make up your own mind. The report in itself is in the paper too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hannah.
Very close to the microphone.
Okay. I have a few points I'd like to point out.
Sorry, would you repeat your name and your address?
My name is Hannah Minton. I live at 903 Farrell Road. Someone pointed out that if we shop, or if they are there, the locals here would be shopping downtown anyways. If people are taken away, just the few people that would shop at those grocery stores from everyone else who's still local shopping at the grocery stores in town, those few people no longer coming into town to shop at those stores would be enough to make them close down, even if the whole town supported those small stores. So I worry that spreading it outwards is going to have a huge effect on
those small stores. Another aspect I see every day driving to and from work is we want to say we're open for business, for people to come into town to see the businesses we have open. It needs to be easy to get into town, and that intersection, unfortunately, is not easy to get into town. And many of my friends, I've been here for 8 years, and I say I live in Revelstoke. They know about us now because of the ski hill. We used to be a drive-by town. So I think the focus that the council needs to realize is that putting up strip malls so we do look like everyone else doesn't bring people to town. Putting up something that brings people into town, be it a road that makes it easier to come into town with the nice decorative plazas, maybe more affordable small business spaces for the amazing entrepreneurs that live in this town. There's lots of options that can be given. I don't think a big chain store will fill any of them, topping off the fact that I believe the new buildings that are going right now are being subcontracted by other contractors from out of town. So I can't see how this big building will bring big money and work to town for long. And also how many well-paying jobs are going to come from this. I don't see very many. So those that are pro-development, I am. I'm not pro-development for this because I can't see my children having good jobs coming from this. I can't see my children prospering. I don't have children yet, but I hope that they want to stay here. And if this is here, I won't want to stay here. I will find somewhere else to call a small, beautiful, quaint town, and I don't want to let people drive by and just see us as one of the others. Thank you.
Everybody around you. I didn't tell everybody how long I've lived here because it doesn't really matter. I didn't mention I was born here because that also doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is a good idea is a good idea and a bad idea is a bad idea. But what I really wanted to come up with and make one more quick comment about was the reality of retail in Revelstoke. So let me paint you a little picture. My good friend Stephen Huey could crush me like a bug. Well, he wasn't. Why? Because he's a mentor, a friend, and he realizes that local, small businesses owned by people who live in, care about, and contribute to their community are vital to our vitality. I can phone Steve up and say, Steve, I got a business problem, and he'll help me solve it. I won't be phoning shoppers or whoever else, to tell them, you know what, I can't feed my kids this week. My business is going under. And I'm sure that I won't be able to contact their head office and have all the help and mentorship that I've received over the years. The other thing I want to point out is that there's a lot of people, and I believe them wholeheartedly, who say we are going to keep supporting you. And this is true, but the 10, 20, 30%, depending on your business, for some people, like some of the outdoor stores, it's 70%, which is tourist traffic, which we strongly believe won't flow through the town, is enough to break them. We had somebody say something about a living wage. I make $125 a week, and I have $1 million mortgage. That's the reality. Pharmacy is 80% prescriptions, and the rest of it is there because it's to service your customers. You're not making money on it. There's not that much business in town. The only way, and Mick Mathusik said it in his subsequent report that you guys can all find online, it was put in the Times Review, and it's probably a part of your package, I believe it was submitted. He makes that point clear, that the only way for these things to work is to be predatory. And we don't allow that in our community. We accept one another. I just don't see how it's going to work. And I see how it will break people. Like I said, if we really want to be predatory, Steve could just shut me down next week. But he doesn't. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Chuck Ferguson. I live at 800 Mackenzie Avenue. Been in town for about 9 years now. Been involved with 3 businesses that have been fairly successful. I look at this, I've listened very closely to everybody tonight, and I really got a strong feeling that it's not retailers that we need, it's more customers that we need. With a hotel on that property, the matter whether it's 30 stories, the only view it's blocking is the mountain right directly behind it. And no matter how many stories it was, we lost a very good developer, Steve Platt. And he had a vision. He had a vision for this town or city that was what we're basically speaking about right now. We bring more people. It's becoming a recreational tourist town. We bring more people. These people that stay in hotels spend a lot more money than people driving by on the highway that need a pack of cigarettes or stop for gas or whatever. These people would come into town and visit, find out about town, maybe even fall in love with this town just like I did. And just listening to the people tonight, I think it's a very strong proposal to look at this development, and I'm certainly pro-development. I was involved in the last election, and I was totally pro-development. I thought that a hotel would be a perfect addition to the town. Right now, when people come into town and the highway's closed, nobody get accommodations. We're putting them up in this place here. They could stay at a hotel. There's lots of skiers that would come here. There's lots of people in the summer that would stay here. You see the campers and stuff that come here in the summer. We might lose some of that business to the highway. For the people downtown, Victoria Street is lined up from one end to the other with campers, buying groceries and buying the supplies that they need for camping. They're not necessarily coming into restaurants and stuff because they spent $4,000 to rent a vehicle for the week. So they need groceries and they need the bare necessities, and they might stop at something like this rather than coming into town and getting a chance to visit our town and go downtown and listen to music and all the things that are available here. And I venture to say that if you offered this property that's where the King Eddie Hotel was to this developer, he might not look at it. If it was the same price and everything, you might say, well, you know, there's too much competition downtown. He's picked the highway for a reason. And I think that the hotel in that location, like I say, no matter how many stories it is, convention center, bring people to this town, and they can fall in love with it too.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pauline Pastor, I'm going to say that all we have to do is fix up the roads so that people come into town. Fix that trail so that people can come in and say, wow, we've made it. Otherwise, we just got a trail that's such a terrible place to get. One light, everybody's fighting, trying to get in and out of it. If it's a busy weekend, you need help to get people fix that road. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Devan Morrison. I was born and bred in Cobblestone, 1965. Been here 50 years. 2 points. Reality check. I live on Talley Street, Eastern Access, wonderful street. When the ambulance comes by, I don't get resentful. It's development. When DCC trucks come and they do their chip truck front, I don't get resentful. But what I do get resentful about is when the winter comes and there's people sleeping across the road from my house, down the streets, across the bridge, because there's no place to stay. We need a hotel. Number 2, I see an increase in people using dumpsters to eat out of because they cannot afford to eat here. We'd be better spent our time and our money and our energy helping or asking maybe some of the people, the grocers, to reduce their prices so people can eat. I have nothing else to say.
Thank you.
So now that we've determined that we know what we don't want, let's look at what we want. This site, I keep going back to, is a unique site. This site represents Revelstoke to the traveling public and presents Revelstoke to the traveling public. You all hear me? So, I'm going to make sure I get this right. Let's put this into perspective. The zoning that's being voted on tonight is for the grocery and the pharmacy. If this doesn't pass, the developer can still start building on that site tomorrow. He could build retail, he could build a hotel, yes, thank you. He could build enough
like that
to make a welcome plaza. So we've got the hotelier, the developer here. If you're listening to what we're saying, you have an opportunity, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You have an opportunity to work with us and give us what we need, because now we know what we need and we determine what we don't want. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Microphone is open, available for anybody that would like to say something. Ms. Pierce?
Asked by bedtime, so I'm going to be quick. I had a lot of pages here and a whole lot of things to say, but most of them have been said. A couple of things that I want to say that, first, if it matters, I've lived here for 20 years, and I've done work on many of the documents you guys have been throwing around. I'm very familiar with them. I also, like Kurt, did a whole lot of reading and a whole lot of talking and phoning people. I spoke with a university professor in Waterloo. I spoke with a retail strategy author. I spoke with developers for a long time one night. Sorry, I remember this. But in addition to some of the comments that have been made here, what I observe is that we have all said we're committed to development, and we want to be open for business. But frankly, we're not ready for business. We don't collectively understand the development process. And I say collectively, I mean you folks, staff, and us. There are certain steps that you go through in the development process, and we don't understand them. And I think we need tomorrow, no matter what happens here tonight, to go back and figure out how we're all going to learn how the development process works, so we don't befuddle, and that's their language, another developer like Hall Pacific. And frankly, I think he's starting to figure us out that we really do want this to happen. We just haven't quite figured out all the steps in the process. So I'd say we are open for business, but not ready for business. The second thing is that, and I just meant to say this first, we need to develop that property on the highway. Mr. Platt's property is a prime piece of real estate, and it doesn't do us any benefit as it is right now. That's a lot with weeds on it. We need it to be developed wisely in a way that invites people into our town. I can't be convinced after hours and days and nights of reading and thinking about this that the current bylaw amendment is going to lead us to that outcome. So I must ask you to oppose the bylaw. And I regret saying that because it will send a message to some of the development community that we're not open for business. But that's wrong. We're just not ready. And it may put Mr. Hall Pacific off this development, but I hope not. I hope he wants to stay here now. He's heard how engaged we are and how much we care, that we can figure out something that will work for all of us. I am concerned about the many unknowns that have been raised through the track document and through the other speakers. I'm also concerned that, and please don't take this personally in any way, anybody, that the project rationale for this was not verified by city staff at all. So we know it wasn't verified because in the rationale it says that there was $500,000 in municipal taxes, but Dean's answers to council's questions said that there was only $370,000 in municipal taxes. There are other kinds of taxes that the developer would have to pay, but they don't come to us. And I believe it when the developer tells me that it was an honest mistake, that they didn't understand that not all the taxes they would pay would come to the municipality. But our staff should have caught that for us, so we would know that that's really the case. So I would ask if you bring any of the other developments forward, that you please verify what's in them. Make sure they're accurate, so we can provide meaningful input. Because otherwise, we're uninformed about this stuff. We don't want to be spending our nights and days reading, do we? Absolutely not. We want to trust you to bring us good information, please. I too, as Stephen first raised, am worried about the frayed relationships and friendships and alliances and the concerns of dedicated volunteers about how they can continue to support the community if you support this bylaw. We can do better than this. Let's go home, have a good sleep. For a couple of months, we haven't all had good sleep. Let's go home, have a good sleep, and tomorrow, let's start working on this again. Thank you for hearing me, and thank you. I'm really grateful for you spending your time helping us out in the community.
Councillor Souls would like to ask a question.
Cindy?
It's actually to everyone in the room. You're starting to leave, and I just want a couple questions before people leave. And I just want to ask this just as a show of hands. So before you leave tonight, raise your hand if you are for this rezoning. Could you just raise your hand? If you're for the rezoning, could you raise your hand? Okay. If you're not for this, can you raise your hand? Okay, now everybody put your hands down. How many of you would like to see development on this property? Pretty much everyone in the room. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, my name is Leonard McCormick. I've been here 3 years. I originally came in with the highways, so I was affiliated with HMC. To me, the spirit of this zoning was to prevent cannibalization. I think that's, in a nutshell, what the original zoning was about. I'm a business major, so providing replication of what we already have doesn't really pursue the economic growth that you're looking for. It's what attracts new businesses, different businesses, stuff that plays into our strong points is what we're looking for. And the spirit of rezoning this to replicate what we already have, to me, is not in our best interest. Development, yes. The one other issue, and it has been brought up, and because I was with the highways during a shutdown or a busy long weekend, the activity on the number 1 between the east end access and the bridge is extremely congested. And what goes in there is going to have to be fairly well thought out. So there's the number 1 highways. The ministry can do traffic studies on those. I know those are available. How much they've been done, I'm not sure. But just those 2 points.
That's all part of the package, the traffic studies. Are part of it.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Me again, and I forgot to say the first time I live at 420 Moss. There's been several references tonight that if we don't go forward with development, we go backwards. And I say that is absolutely not true. We came here in 1982, and I think in the late 70s and 1980, I think the population was up around 12,000, was definitely a lot more than it is now. Revelstoke survived. Don't sell us out on this idea of development for development's sake. Development, fine, but the right development at the right time. Thank you.
Thanks, Will. I'm going to call 3 times if anybody would like to come to the microphone before I close the public hearing. And just looking around the room, if anybody would like to come and speak at the mic, even if you've already spoken twice, Glenn, you could come up and speak one more time.
Sit down.
So for the first time, is there anyone that wishes to make any further representations?
Dang, I don't.
Dang? I thought your name was different than that. Just introduce yourself and your address, please, ma'am.
By the time I get up here, I'll probably forget what I wanted to say. Okay, I'm Tori Long. I live in City Trailer Park. I love it. I love Revelstoke. I want to know who I'm dealing with. And I've written comments on the newspaper calling this development a pig in a poke. Maybe that's not an expression that people know here, but I don't know who I'm talking to. I see the face of the proponent, but I don't see the persons who have signed an agreement with him to lease space if he can build a big grocery, a big pharmacy. I don't know who these people are. I don't think anyone here knows who they are. I want to know who they are if they're going to be my neighbors or affect my town.
Would you like me to answer that for you?
Yes, please.
As we're here talking about additions to a rezoning, that's not an item that we're dealing with at this time. If this is approved and goes through to development permit application, that's when all of that would become public.
And that to me is the catch-22, because once this rezoning takes place, it's permanent. And whoever buys the property can do anything that now is permitted with the rezoning. I like the zoning to stay the way it is. I like the concept of highway commercial, accommodating travelers in hotels, making services that serve the local community, serve the traveling community, but don't conflict with downtown. This particular development has kind of got the cart before the horse because of that, Mark. Because once you rezone, we have to live with it forever.
Until it's rezoned again. That's the whole purpose of it. It gives definition to what can be done on this site. That's what the whole purpose of the rezoning. So,
well, I like highway commercial. I like the OCP. I don't want a nameless, faceless somebody to have the property rezoned and perhaps flip it to somebody else, or, you know,